Okay.
Hi, I'm V.
And I'm T.
And this is VT Reviews.
Okay, so we're sitting in the car after just getting out of Streetdance 2 in 3D.
Yes. We also haven't seen Streetdance 1.
Yes, but we
quickly Googled it.
We quickly Googled it to make sure that we weren't missing anything in the plot.
We weren't, it turns out. It turns out they just missed a few things in the plot.
Yes. So it seems like it's carrying on, the story is carrying on into the second movie.
Which is why we Googled, because we thought, have we missed like a integral part of this story? And like, because the way it just starts really, yeah.
Yes.
So it was a bit confusing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the way it starts, it has this kid, Ash.
And he's a popcorn seller at I think it's a dance venue.
I think it's a dance competition and it's the finals.
Yes.
It must be because this group called Invincible wins.
Yep. And then the leader, who I think is named Vince, sort of challenges the audience like, you know, Invincible, our crew is so cool. I think they say invincible by name, invincible by nature.
Yes, that is it.
Yeah, can anyone here challenge us? And Ash, Popcorn Ash, is like, I can totally do this, man.
I'm totally ready. I'm a popcorn vendor.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go for it.
So he takes his hat off and he puts his popcorn down and he's like, yeah, let's do it. And we're like,
yeah, do it.
Dancing.
Who are you?
It's amazing. So he starts off all right, actually.
Yeah, he does.
I didn't think he was doing that badly until he did that last flip and then just falls on his bum. And I was like, oh, burn.
Yeah. So they scorn him. He's scorned.
They throw his own popcorn at him.
They throw popcorn at him. It's very heartbreaking.
And
because,
it's in 3D.
Yes.
So we got popcorn thrown at us.
Yes. So we were really there with Ash.
And
that's how we bonded with the character, because there's no other real bonding with him.
Yeah, because I wasn't actually sure if we're meant to empathise with him, apart from he's who we kept following. So he gets kicked out.
Yeah, he gets kicked out, and then he's
probably loses his job as well.
He's walking through London the next day, because it's in London. He's walking through London the next day, and this kid runs after him and says, "Hey, you showed a lot of heart. I like your moxie."
That was really brave. So yeah, he runs over and he's like, you know, we can take Invincible down. Let's do it, and we'll put together the best dance troupe like Europe has seen, because the final clash, which is the final battle.
Yeah, we're gonna go to this final clash thing. It's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be the finals.
Yeah, and we're gonna beat Invincible at their own game, and you know, you can forget that you fell on your bum.
Yes. So he agrees to this.
Yeah, and they start putting together like great dances from they go to I think they go to like Switzerland and Berlin and Prague, but always fly back to London.
They're flying all over the place, not very efficient.
And then
so they get these dances, and they've all got different names, and they're all street dancers. They're like
Bam Bam,
Bam Bam,
Yo-Yo,
Scorpion,
Legend, Steph.
Oh yeah, Steph. Can't forget Steph.
So then they end up in Paris, which is where the final clash is going to be, in a hostel, and they're all like, oh man, like this hostel is shit, and it is, by the way.
And something's missing from our awesome dance troupe that we just put together.
So yeah, so Eddie's like, come on man, something's missing, I'm going to take you out to Ash. So they go to this Latin club.
Yep. And they see the girl. Oh, what's her name? Ava.
And she's sort of, so everyone is dancing in the club, and then there's like a boxing ring.
Yes.
Is it boxing? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a boxing
in the back.
ring.
And she's got she's tied up with like the bandages around her hands, like she's connected to the ropes.
Yes.
And she sort of starts doing her thing, and then like Ash and Eddie get challenged by the bar owner to stay in the ring with her for one dance, and then they can have free drinks because they had no money.
Yeah.
From flying all over the place.
From flying all over the place.
This is only about 20 minutes in, and so this movie is just rocketing through.
Pretty much there's a big gap between now. It's filled with dancing montages, but between now and the actual plot, when it catches up later on.
Yeah.
So it's just basically dancing montages, which it is a dancing movie, and the dancing is amazing.
And we can't fault that, because when we saw Honey, that movie with Jessica Alba, we faulted that movie because it had too much plot and not enough dancing.
That's true.
So, you know, but you have to...
bad acting.
You have to be somewhere in the middle. Like,
yes.
As much as I'm loath to say it, Stomp the Yard had a really good balance of dancing and plot.
I mean, okay, all dancing movies are pretty bad, but Stomp the Yard was a pretty good one.
I maintain that Centre Stage was really good.
Centre Stage was pretty good.
But if only just for Peter Gallagher.
It's not a good movie.
It's got Peter Gallagher in it.
But it's a good dance movie.
Peter Gallagher's in it. Anyway, back to Streetdance.
What we're up to, a dancing montage.
Yeah.
So one of many.
Anyway, so they're at the club, and you know, and then he's like, you have to dance with me, please join my dance crew. And she's kind of like, nah man, I don't really like all this flippy stuff you do. And he's like, no, come on, let's do it. Like, we're gonna incorporate your style, it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, he gets this idea, he wants to do a fusion of Latin dance and street dance, and that's what he's going to show at the final clash.
But even though 2 minutes before he's like, Latin dancing.
It was like, Latin.
So she's like, okay, bring your crew down, and I feel very street saying that, just FYI.
Bring your crew down. With Yo-Yo and Bam Bam.
I would like to point out that Yo-Yo was Asian, so totally can be street and Asian. Anyway, so he brings the crew down to, we find out that it's her uncle's bar.
Yep.
And they sort of show what they've got, and she's got her dance crew there.
Yes.
Oh no, just her partner at that stage.
She's got her partner there. And they're watching, and they're like, yeah, this is something we can get into, because the guys are all going off and popping and locking and what the kids do these days.
And then it's their turn, it's the Latin couple's turn to show, and they start dancing, and the street crew are like...
But they do a really formal dance. A formal Latin dance, which is a bit weird, because she was sort of really loose in the first scene we saw her in. Yeah,
like the night before, which I assume it was the night before, they'd been doing like Latin style moves, but still flipping over each other, and like, I don't know, it felt more like what I think Ash had in mind, which is probably why he asked her to join. So they do like proper like salsa dancing, and like the street crew are like, whatever, nah, and they're laughing, and I think they just walk out.
Yeah, they all like, they're like, nah, we're not gonna do that, man, and then she leaves. Yeah. And he follows her, and he's like, oh no, street dance is all about cred.
Yeah, so he chases after, and he's like, no, they're just scared, they don't want to lose their reputation, but give them a chance, give them a chance. And her dance partner's like, no, whatever, I'm out, I'm not doing this. Because they disrespected me, which, fair point, they did.
Yeah. But then he goes back to his dance crew and says, no, you've got to see her when she's dancing sexy Latin dancing, not formal Latin dancing.
Street Latin.
Street Latin.
So they go back that night, and then they sort of have a dance-off with Ava and her, like, Latin dancing crew, and they're sort of won over by that. That's how they decide to do this Latin fusion thing, but the partner is still like, no, I'm out, I don't want to do it. So Ava kind of just joins this crew and has like one-on-one lessons with Ash to try and loosen him up, because he's really self-conscious, I think, probably because he fell over, and he's always thinking, and his main goal is not just let's dance to have fun, it's like let's dance to beat Invincible.
Yeah, I guess that's the theme that comes across in the movie, if there is a theme apart from dancing, that you've got to share the limelight. Did you say that? Yeah, because because while they were dancing, he's trying to flip in front of her, and she's like, whoa, what are you doing? Like, you have to... It's about sharing the dance space.
And so she kind of teaches him, you have to trust me, you have to trust your partner. Yeah. And she blindfolds him, and there's another dance montage.
There's another dance montage, it's awesome.
Where they're dancing in the studio, they're dancing in a park.
In front of the Eiffel Tower.
In front of the Eiffel Tower. And many dance montages.
Game to dance montages.
The snoring, one of the guys was snoring in the hostel, and they hit him with pillows, and then it turned into a feather dancing montage.
Dance montage.
But so anyway,
then what happens?
After he learns trust with her, he finally gets to get in her pants. Big moment.
That was awesome.
They basically went out to dinner. Oh wait, he ate chili in the meantime to prove his worth to her uncle. Not important. So she goes out to dinner with him, and they dance there, and then all of a sudden they're dancing in her bedroom.
Dance all the way home to her bedroom.
And they're dancing while I think we're meant to assume they're doing the dirty kind of dance. Eddie calls, and he's like, hey, Insurge wants to have a dance-off. Now, we found out that Insurge was in the first movie, and that his old crew's leader went to Insurge.
That was the conflict in the first movie.
He defected.
Which this movie doesn't actually have a lot of conflict. It's just a whole bunch of dancing.
It's sort of a conflict between Ash and himself.
I guess it is. It's a character study. So they go to this underground dance club that's illegal.
Yeah, because the police come and break it off at the end.
The police come and break them up, and all they're doing is dancing, but the police break them up, and they do a dance-off.
Yeah, so they're doing really well. Ash's crew, they do their dance, and then they send out Ava as their secret weapon, but just as she comes out, Invincible have heard about this underground dance-off, and they come in and they're heckling Ash, and they're like, oh look, it's Popcorn Boy, why don't you fall on your ass again and make us laugh.
And it's such a terrific burn that Ash gets all spooked by it.
Yeah, and so then she's standing there holding her hand out for him, and he's
let's Latin dance.
And he's like, oh, let's go into the B section, just completely blowing her off, and she's all pretty pissed off, as you would be.
And she leaves.
So anyway, he chases after Ava, and he's like, oh no man, like I just don't think the Latin thing is gonna work. And she's all like,
what? This was your idea?
Yeah. And she's like, am I just your little Latin experiment? And he's like, no, that's not what I mean. And she walks off.
And then he goes back to the crew and says, oh yeah, the whole dance thing's off. We're not doing dance anymore.
Around this time, we started to realise that he had a really arrogant face.
Because he was being very arrogant in the movie.
And so we started just calling him Arrogance.
Which we can call him from now on. So anyway, Arrogance goes and dances in a warehouse space by himself.
While she's dancing in her club in the ring, like with the bandages. And
comes over to the Arrogance, comes over to their uncle and the uncle's sitting there drinking or something.
And eating and
he's like, I can't believe that you're not doing dancing anymore.
Yeah. And he's like, you're a quitter.
Where are your balls?
Yeah, he's like, you're a quitter. I didn't think
I don't want to see you anymore. So he sends him away and he starts
coughing while he's doing it. I thought he just choked on the salami he was eating. But it turns out, no, it was a small plot point.
Yes, and then Arrogance comes back and the uncle's on the floor.
And he's like, oh no!
So it's a bit of an oh no moment.
Which we were upset about.
Yes.
We didn't want him to die.
Because he's the most awesome character in the movie, I've got to say. And then so they take him to hospital.
Yep.
And it's just this big thing to get Arrogance and Ava
together. Because the dance crew go to the hospital too, and down the hall and down the stairs, I believe.
Yes.
They're tapping out a rhythm that like
a Latin rhythm
that the uncle had taught them, and he starts tapping his fingers and his feet. And the power of Latin music brought him back to life, I
apparently.
So anyway, he wakes up and he's like, Arrogance, you have to go and win this dance off at the final clash.
And he's like, okay, I will. And they all run away.
And then
it's night.
Then the next
the same day. Yeah.
The final clash, and I'm like.
So they just run up there. We didn't actually see any registration for this dance competition. So
what we think happens is.
This is us fan wanking, by the way. This is not mentioned.
Proper crew, you go and you sign up and everything, and you go through the dance stages. And
properly.
Then,
so this is the finals.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then at the very end, whoever wins can challenge people to dance. But then that sort of didn't happen because the MC was all like, what's happening when he challenged people?
Yeah, okay. So we found a plot hole in Streetdance. It's not really it's not really surprising, but it was very confusing at the time. Anyway,
yeah. So
they dress up as popcorn vendors and they get inside.
Yeah.
And then they have a dance off. Invincible is sort of winning a little bit. It's ahead.
Yeah.
And then the secret weapon turns up.
And she does the hand thing and he comes out. Yeah. It's a lovely moment. He comes out to dance with her and they do their thing, and then the rest of the crew come in and do the Latin thing, and then they end up winning. And get the trophy, which is weird because they hadn't registered as a team.
No, not that we saw, and also they were late and had to break in, so I assume they weren't registered because otherwise they would just say, hey, we're here. So it's a good movie. I thought it was enjoyable. We laughed a lot in it. We said what a lot because we got lost in the very paper thin story, because just scenes would go everywhere and you wouldn't know what was happening.
It barreled along really quickly, but didn't give you, it gave you information like the final clash is in 6 weeks, we want to beat this team, but didn't really give us the information of why are we meant to care about this.
Yeah, we just didn't care.
I mean, at least in like center stage, you want the main girl Jodie to win, and you know why, because she's, you
spent time with her.
Yeah, she doesn't have great turnout. She's getting told she's not that good.
Yeah, understand what her motivations are, apart from just winning. I just want to win.
And like in Stomp the Yard, I believe his brother got shot.
Yeah.
And he sort of wanted to win for his brother because I think it was the opposing crew that shot him, I think.
Yeah, if I remember correctly. That sounds right.
So he wanted to beat that crew.
But
and
he sort of didn't want to dance anymore, did he?
No, they had to convince him to come back.
So he had a motivation there as well.
Yeah.
It wasn't just...
I fell on my ass.
It was fun to watch.
It was. If you don't want to think about anything.
Yeah, if you had a hard day at work and you just want to watch something that's a little bit dopey and has some really kick-ass dancing in it, awesome dancing.
But don't expect too much of a plot.
Yes.
Just sort of be happy with, hey, the final clash is here, we want to beat this crew, this is your love interest. Just be happy with that.
And here's some dance moves.